Hello and welcome to another Manufacturers Cup race. This time it's Group 4 at Fuji and going into my qualifying lap. It's a long straight here, so you obviously want to get a very good exit out of the final corner for the best possible run down the straight. Looking for the 150 board, brake as late as possible, get it turned in, keeping a little bit of throttle on just to keep the car steady. Turn in on the throttle as soon as possible. Get a fairly good run through that corner, but I don't have the slipstream ahead, so I'm kind of at a bit of a disadvantage already. Try to keep that turn in as smooth as possible. I tried to stay tight in this corner, and just so I can open up the entry into this left-hander right here. Fairly smooth run again, use all the track on the exit. The car up in front gets a penalty, so even if I had caught by the final straight, I now won't be getting the slipstream. Very tentative into that corner, using my braking point on the side of the track. I run a bit deep and understeer as well, so I lose a load of time in that corner. I take a tighter line than most people through these corners. I don't know, it's just a preference, but I just find, especially in qualifying, you gain more time here than you lose, down on the straight. But in the race, you're going to want to as good a run out of the corners as possible to, use the slipstream to overtake people. Overall, not a bad lap, but could have been better with the slipstream. Right, going into the race. This one is flat out on fuel, so that isn't an issue. So the McLaren's main weakness isn't a problem for this race, but it is a big tyre saving race. My strategy is to start on the medium tyre, the slower tyre, and then use the softer tyre near the end of the race. So I'm expecting to, struggle to keep up at the start and then come back later on. But you can see straight away the speed difference between the McLaren and the Toyota, already gaining a position before turn 1. But I brake very easily into the first corner and then just get a good run out and place taken, and now I can focus on just holding on to the next one in front. Trying to stay steady. I don't want to make any mistakes at this point. Just want to hold onto the slipstream and gain as much as I can for the medium tyres. So my thought process is that most people generally start on the softer tyre. There's not too many people that go the harder tyre to softer tyre route for some reason, which is kind of my thing. Be very, very cautious into some of these corners, just don't risk making mistakes and no penalties. Run a little bit wide again, but nothing disastrous. Using the tight line again, just It's also a good thing about the tight line is like, if it looks like people are starting to get away, you can gain a tenth or two and hold yourself in the slipstream by taking the tighter line. And with the McLaren speed advantage, like you can see, I'm pulling away from the car behind. Going into the TV cameras. So my main focus is just follow and don't mess up. It's like I'm pushing these tyres fairly hard, but I don't want to absolutely kill them. So through the race, I generally take this corner 2 or 3 miles an hour slower than I probably could have, just to save the front left. That long right hand really punishes the tyres here, so that's one of the main points for tyre saving. So for the moment, I'm holding pace quite well with the people in front. The pole sitter is absolutely bolted, is just completely left the pack at the moment. So my initial thoughts when seeing that was that he's on softs and whoever's in second or third are probably on mediums. That's kind of what I was thinking, is why I'm thinking, yeah, I'm holding on fairly well, so somebody must be on mediums up in front. But as long as I'm holding on to this slipstream, I'm happy at this point. I don't need to make any silly moves. I don't need to force anything and lose time. As you just saw then, making mistakes, going for bad moves is the easiest way to, you know, lose positions, lose time, rather than actually getting overtaken. Nice and steady through there. Nice wide entry. I thought he was going for a lunge then, but well, he might have been, but he might have backed out just fast enough as I turned in. I was a bit worried seeing that, to be honest. I was very slow through that corner. I kind of lost the rear on braking and sliding, so. Nice solid exit, and I'm going to skip to lap 5. Well, heading into lap 6, where I've held on to the main group and I'm getting a chance to overtake now. So I need to make this move because the slipstream ahead looks like it's getting close to being broken, so I need to use whatever pace I've got to hold on to that. So I know this is my in lap, but I want to be as close as possible so I can get any undercut if they stay out. So even though the mediums do last a little longer, because I've been pushing them a little bit, I'm struggling on them a little bit at this point. And just seeing on my radar, I do see the guy behind getting very close into the corners. Make the mistake, I expect him to go for a full lunge here, which he kind of half does and just taps my rear, but I'm able to just hold enough speed to hold the position. And then taking a tight line, you can't lunge up the inside of this corner. So I'm able to hold just enough of a gap that I can take the tight line again. He can't go up the inside, so get a decent exit, and I know I'm going to the pits now. As I guess the leader's on the soft tyres. Now switching from the mediums to the soft. The few people behind me also running the same strategy. I'd been in a few practice races with a couple of these guys. Maybe they saw what I did then, or maybe they just thought it was better for them to do it. But I'm actually kind of happy here. I've got a nice open gap in front of me, so I can use a little bit of the soft tyre pace to get a bit of an undercut. But I also don't want to take anything out of them, so I'm still taking it fairly steady. Watching the gap to the leader, I actually don't gain a whole lot of time, especially through this section, because this is the tyre saving section. I want to save my front left as much as possible, so the gap stays about the same there, and then coming into this last sector is where I'm going to take more time out of the people in front. Looking now, I wasn't expecting to catch these guys in front of me, but as soon as I got into the sector I could see, right, the tyre difference is just insane in this section. Again, I tried to stay tight there, but he's just so slow on the turn-in that I clip him in the rear. But I think he indicates there to tell me he's about to pit, but by the time I noticed that, I was already up the inside, so I'm really hoping I can just out-drag him before he switches across. Which I managed to just do that. If he'd been any further in front, he would have probably been sideswiping me to try to get into the pits. And I managed to undercut a few of the people in front, so Agent Lucas was one of the leading guys behind, you know, the Volkswagen up in first, so I know I've made a pretty good jump up in the order. The two people in front are both FF cars running two-stop, so I kind of know at this point that the Audi TT in second and the RCZ in third are both pitting again, but I could tell from the time the Scirocco pitted that he's running to the one stop to the end. So at this point I'm in a net third place. Yeah, I saw when Agent Lucas came out of the pits that he was on the medium tyres, so I was just biding my time, waiting for a good shot to go for the overtake. I mean, he holds on to the RCZ slipstream here, but I got a better run out of the corner. As soon as the RCZ pits, which it does just then, it's then a straight drag down to turn 1, but the McLaren has slight edge on top speed with no slipstream involved. So I managed, and using my soft tyres, you know, better braking, I'm able to get a lead into the first corner. At this point, I'm generally thinking that, you know, I've got a good shot at running up to second and third, but catching second before he pits, and then first place would still be in sight with him being on the medium tyres. As long as I stay nice and steady and don't make any major mistakes. But even with Agent Lucas on the medium tyres, I know it's going to be hard to break the slipstream with the tyre saving that I'm wanting to do. So I mean, in practice I could run low 40s in the lap times, but I was running kind of low 41s to try to hold that pace for longer. So I'm running about a second off my ultimate pace just so I can save tyres and keep the pace up for longer, but that also means there's more chance for battling. I'm braking about roughly about 70%, 70-80% just to save the fronts a little bit. I'm running a very rear brake bias. So I actually switched the brake bias further back when I go onto the softs. I was running a +3 for mediums and then +4 on the soft tyres. But yeah, every time I going through that corner, seeing Agent Lucas, carrying the extra speed, running the wider line, I always expected him to go for the dive, so I was always very cautious into that corner because I was watching my radar so much. I wasn't really watching the track, and it's like I was compromising like entries into corners because I was too busy watching what was going on behind me and worrying about being taken out. So there has been time in the past where I have been taken out intentionally by Agent Lucas, so I'm always a little bit worried. Again, there I get on the curb a bit wrong because I'm watching the radar and lose the rear. He goes for the move up the inside. He pushes me wide a little bit, but nothing too disastrous. But yeah, with him going for that move, he was never really going to get in front because as soon as it's a straight head-to-head fight, and straight line speed, the McLaren's going to be down to turn 1 first. I see him going for that move. I purposely brake a little early and just focus on getting a good exit. So to see here, I get a much better exit with my softer tyres and just straight out drag him down to this corner. I think the more we're battling at this point, the more I'm accepting we're probably not going to catch first place. It's like every time we pass each other, we're basically losing time to the leader, and so whereas I could have been lapping in the low 41s, we're more towards the 42s, and it's not the most ideal scenario. So the more we're fighting, the more I'm thinking, right, I'm gonna have to just fight it and try to hold second. Looking at the points at the start of the race, starting from 9th, my goal was probably top 5. 5th would probably been a good result. So again, I found myself in a position where I'm higher than I expected. Again, watching the radar again, I make the same mistake as I did the previous lap, but because of how I caught it, he didn't have a chance to run up the inside. See him in the slipstream this time. I'm already thinking I'm going to let him through into turn 1. I'm going to let him have the lead through lap 12. Because the most important turn is turn 1 on the last lap, so I want the slipstream on the last lap to make the move into turn 1 there. So wide, he barges me a little bit, but again, it's nothing too disastrous, because I was always letting him through anyway. And how I mentioned about the being distracted by the radar, I intentionally just hold a little bit of a gap behind. I just want him to push out and use whatever pace he can, just so the people behind don't have a chance to have a lunge at me because we're going too slow. Because I know even with the worn softs, I'm still going to be faster through this final sector. And as soon as we get into the tight corners, I close right back up again. I'm going to be making the move on the straight, so just stick behind and get ready to use the slipstream down the long straight. And I get a good exit out of the final corner, so everything's looking good for how I want it to be. I'm actually surprised he didn't fight it too much. It's like going into the last lap I would have gone a lot more defensive, but he doesn't do that, so I'm able to take the place fairly easily and again stop it on the apex kind of and just get a good run out of the corner, so he doesn't have a chance to have a run at me like I did a few laps ago. Now it's just a case of don't make any mistakes. Just as long as I stay in front through this corner, I'm good. So I run a little bit wider on this exit to go more defensive. He's on the outside. He gets a fairly good run through the outside actually. I'd probably go a bit tighter than I needed to, but into this corner I thought I was leaving enough space. I might have misjudged it, but he gets on the curb and that kind of pushes him towards me a little bit. I go defensive into this corner because this is one of the last major chances that he's got to overtake. And as he tries to use the overspeed to go around the outside of me, he runs slightly off the track and gets dirty tyres. As soon as I saw that on the radar, I knew I've got second place. So at this point I just take a nice tight line again, just nice and easy, get on the power. It's like, right, the position's mine. So starting from 9th, it's another good result at Fuji. Things always seem to work out here. I mean, saying that, I should really have been fighting for the win there. It's like my practice times were 22:17s. So I was about 9 seconds off my practice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this race and be seeing you at the next one.